Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Joy De Benedetto. I am the Group Director for Communications here at Equity Group Holdings. All of our team here, we really want to welcome you to today's session in our knowledge series. It's called Navigating Trade and Investment Opportunities in Tanzania. We are very fortunate to have you here and to also have a distinguished panel of experts who will share their valuable insights on how to successfully tap into Tanzania's dynamic and growing market. Tanzania, as you may know, is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, and it presents significant opportunities, especially in key sectors like agriculture, infrastructure, energy, and manufacturing, and has some of the best beaches that you'll find in Africa. This event brings together leading voices from the public and private sectors to share insights on Tanzania's economic landscape and the role of cross-border trade in driving inclusive prosperity. We want this to be an engaging and interactive session, so I encourage all of you to share your thoughts, comments, and questions in the chat and in the Q&A window. Our moderation team and panelists will do the best they can to address as many as possible during the panel session. And for any questions we may not get to in real time, do not worry. We'll consolidate all the responses and circulate them after the webinar to all of those of you who have registered. Your engagement in our discussions is valuable, and we want you to be as active as you can. We're very excited to hear from you, and again, we're grateful that you're spending your time today to be with us. For those of you who are not familiar with Equity Group is a 40-year-old organization that was founded in East Africa to bank the bottom of the pyramid. Today, we are a conglomerate of companies based in 7 countries in East and Central Africa. We're in Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan, the DRC, and we have a commercial office in Ethiopia. And we are the largest financial services firm in the region. We also have a fintech company, we have a telecom, we have an insurance business, we have a healthcare business, and we also have an investment bank. And so we're very, very pleased that you've joined us today to learn more about not just the work that we're doing, the kinds of offerings and services we can provide to you in your trade and investment activities, but also to dive deep into the opportunities in Tanzania. So to officially kick things off, it's my pleasure to introduce Isabella Manganga. She is our Managing Director of Equity Bank Tanzania, and she'll give welcome remarks and to briefly share why equity. Isabella?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joy. Greetings from Equity Bank Tanzania. I'm pleased to welcome our distinguished business owners, investors, and business leaders who have managed to join our webinar today, coming from different parts of the world, Africa, East Africa in particular. And to our dear speakers and panelists, Georgie Mukono, Director of Investment and Promotion, coming from Tanzania Investment Center, which is a government entity mandated to promote investment among other roles. Prakash, a CEO of GBP Tanzania, one of the leading petroleum and clean energy marketing company in the country. Aliasga, a CEO of Said Salim Bakresa and Companies, one of course, the leading manufacturing conglomerate in Tanzania, and with big regional footprint in Africa. Prosper Nambaya, our executive and in charge of business for Equity Bank Tanzania. And of course, Brent, our executive and in charge of strategy across the group. We sincerely thank you for accepting speaking to our audience today, and good afternoon all. Equity Bank Tanzania, of course, is delighted to host this webinar, as mentioned earlier by Joy, Navigating Trade and Investment Opportunities in Tanzania. I strongly encourage the audience and the speakers to share your insights and the experience as we drive forward and to capitalize the abundance of investment opportunities in Tanzania. And we all understand that Tanzania is mostly referred as gateway to East Africa, and it's for the good reason. It's strategically located with the abundant natural resources, youth, demographic, populations, and of course, the significant investment opportunities. As we also understand that as of the moment, globally, we are navigating through global challenges, economic and geopolitical tensions. And I think it's more than important this time around to explore the opportunities and investing in Tanzania, of course, raise our investment into the country. And it has been said that it's one of the fastest growing economy in the world. Most important, I think, is also to recognize the efforts which have been made by our government towards significant reforms to foster a more conducive business and investment climate. Of course, on this aspect, George Mukono from TIC will speak and share more insightful regarding the investment climate of our country. And I'll just speak about equity. As far as this trade and investment is concerned, as a bank, we are so committed to providing a comprehensive financing solutions that can facilitate trade and investment in Tanzania and across the region where we have a footprint, but also driving the investment across the globe by capitalizing on the Equity Group capabilities and the market presence in the 7 countries which were mentioned. As a bank, we are also dedicated to being your strategic financial partner. We have all necessary infrastructures, including the capital and balance sheet to support your investment in Tanzania, technology capabilities, of course, the regional footprint, as I've mentioned, to support your expansion in Tanzania and the markets where, of course, we are operating. In addition to that, we have a highly skilled and experienced team sitting in Tanzania and at the group which can support you in terms of designing and offer structured financing solutions to support your business expansion. But also very importantly, the bank is closely working and collaborating with the government entities to support the investment in the country. So I can say that Equity is your right partner in terms of investing in Tanzania, given the size that we have within the East Africa. But most importantly, we invite you to the bank to secure your financing needs and of course, establish the strong business relationship that will drive your growth and success in your business. I think after we are done with this webinar, of course, we have scheduled another trade mission, which will come on 20th May this year. This will be physical, whereby you will be in the country, Tanzania. You will see and appreciate the investment opportunities that are available in the market. So we later on extend the invitation. And lastly, I would encourage all the participants to engage actively in the discussions with our speakers, the panelists. And at the end of the webinar, we will share with you our contacts, and our head office is located at the Golden Jubilee Tower along Ohio Street in Dar es Salaam. So you're warmly welcomed just to follow up after the webinar and see how we can support you in terms of accessing the financing. Thank you so much, and I will turn the mic back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isabella. Appreciate your comments. I guess also I would just say that we do have branches and ATMs and locations all over the country. So if you come to the country, we will be able to serve you wherever you are. Thank you for that, Isabella. Now I'd like to turn it over to Brent Malahay. Brent is our Group Chief Strategy Officer. He will tell you about Equity's economic and social transformation plan that we have been working on for the past couple of years. And we have worked on specific angles for each country, and Brent will present to you Tanzania. Brent, over to you. Brent, you might be on mute.
Okay, you can see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Let me just put it on presentation mode. So let me just take you through our view of Tanzania and how it's positioned in a global context, regional context, and where we see the country moving over the next few years. So let me talk about the global context, and I think we all appreciate the dynamics over the last few days, weeks, months. But what is very clear is that, and this was post the global financial crisis going into COVID, Ukraine-Russia war, that global supply chains are very concentrated. Source markets are also very concentrated, and increasingly these supply chains are becoming fragmented. And what this slide just underlines is the level of concentration across manufacturing as well as sourcing of raw materials. I think this is important to appreciate, as Tanzania provides an alternative, and also you'll appreciate that currently around 17% of the world's population is in Africa, and the way Tanzania is positioned as a gateway into this market should prove attractive to any business looking to access a consumer market. So this just gives you Tanzania in context and why it is fast becoming an economic hub and, importantly, a gateway into East and Central Africa. These slides will be made available, so we'll be able to circulate it, but this just puts Tanzania and its 8 neighboring countries, and you can add another 3 island states. It's clear that the story of Tanzania, as much as it's got domestic national opportunities, it also connects you to a bigger market and a bigger opportunity set. As was alluded to earlier by my colleagues, Tanzania is located in a high growth region, but importantly, Tanzania itself is amongst the 10 fastest growing countries in the world. In the slide that you see in the center picture, this essentially filters out countries growing north of 5% over the next 5 years as forecasted by the IMF. And you can see Tanzania and East and Central Africa ranks amongst the highest growing regions, with Tanzania amongst the 10 fastest. And this is a function because of a domestic story where it has an abundance of natural endowments, both in agriculture as well as on the extractive side. It also is increasingly building out, as government puts investment into infrastructure, an industrial base. And because it's obviously got access to the sea, it provides a logistical corridor for the landlocked countries and neighboring countries. And also importantly, when you think of Tanzania, you don't think of just the domestic market, but you need to think of a 350 million market given the neighboring countries and the infrastructure that is connecting these neighboring countries. So clearly, Tanzania is located in a high growth region. It's well endowed and provides access to a large regional market. From a regional perspective, just to bring out further statistics, you'll see the access it gives you in terms of GDP of neighboring countries. As mentioned, the demographics of 350 million, but also there's a level of integration in the region where the neighboring countries is trading with Tanzania, which is very important. Now, when we look at the economic structure, whilst it does reflect a market still driven by agriculture and mining in terms of source market, as I mentioned, government is undergoing significant investments in infrastructure, from power production with renewable energy through hydro, through the rails, through expansion of ports and road networks. It's increasingly, as I mentioned, developing an industrial base in which to position itself as a manufacturing and logistics hub. What is also important, it is part of economic blocks. It's part of the SADC. It is part of the East African community, and it does benefit from the AGOA trade agreement with the US, which is obviously under discussion and expires in September. But we're hoping that this is reviewed positively. In terms of putting numbers to those natural endowments on the agricultural side, you'll see in the presentation that both on crops and livestock, it is well positioned. It's a big exporter of a number of crops. But also on the livestock side, it is ranked amongst the 15 largest, it has amongst the 15 largest herd of cattle in the world, positioning it for protein as well as for leather value addition. And then on the mining side, you can see the reserves it has on a number of minerals, particularly critical minerals when it comes to graphite, nickel, as well as its gas reserves. Now, to put Equity Group in this context of Tanzania, the region, which is a fast-growing region, we have a systematic plan in which to support Tanzanian businesses. Essentially, this Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan that we have essentially looks at developing value chains in our markets, including Tanzania and the regional market as well, where we operate. So ultimately, for investors, businesses looking into Tanzania, you have organizations like Equity Group looking to capacitate, de-risk, and scale up African value chains, including those in Tanzania. And importantly, a big trading partner and neighboring partner of Tanzania is a large economy like the DRC, where we have significant operations there as well as in Kenya. So this is Tanzania in the lens of Equity Group, and also Equity Group has a very intentional plan to essentially develop the opportunities and also help de-risk the opportunities as well. Thank you, Joy.
Great, Brent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And hopefully that gave a bit of an overview of the opportunities and the effort really that the Tanzanian government is doing and initiating to bring businesses to the country and to grow the country. Now I would like to bring the conversation to George Makano, who is the Director of Investment Promotion at the Tanzania Investment Center. And George, maybe you can just give us a quick overview of the Tanzania Investment Center and then give us your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. And thank you everyone for this good platform that can allow us also to explain a little bit about what is TIC and what TIC can offer to the public, private investors within the Tanzanians, locals, and the international investors. TIC, the government institution, we are under the President Office. Of course, the Miss Isabella MD from Equity just give a little bit introduction about our key mandate. But let me explain a little bit. We have 3 key mandates from our side. One is the facilitating the investment, those who want to set up their business within the country, being a local or domestic or foreign company. We have a one-stop shop in our institutions, which comprises more than 15 government institutions who are sitting together under one roof. We provide all the services from the business registration to the tax issues, tax incentives, and any other related issues, labor issues. Or second mandate is to promote the investment opportunities which are available within the country for the local, domestic, and the foreign investors, but also to advise the government on all the key related issues in the investment area. So being a policy issues, the regulations, we think that there is anything that we need to reform in the investment climate within the country. We have given the mandate to make sure that we advise the government and all the other government institutions to make sure that they comply and make sure the business environment is well coordinated within the guide. Over to you, Joy.
Great, thank you, George. And hopefully people can actually contact you after this if they have any questions about how to do business in Tanzania. So many thanks. I do appreciate it.
Gotcha.
Mavish Malik is our Associate Director for International Trade Relations, and I'd like to now turn it over to her to give you an overview of our trade activities in full. We don't just do webinars and knowledge series such as this, we actually host physical missions. And she can give you an update on the kind of missions that we host and also the upcoming missions that we have on our schedule already. Mavish?
Thank you very much, Joy. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mavish Malik. I'm the Associate Director for Trade Relations, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you all on our call today. It's amazing to see such a diverse group of leaders, innovators, and change makers from across the globe. I'm here today with an exciting opportunity, an invitation to be part of an upcoming trade and investment roadshow to Tanzania and Uganda that promises to open new doors for collaboration, investment, and growth. Pillar 3 of our Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan focuses on trade and investment, and our team works with clients in the region, international businesses, partners, multinational corporations, international governments, and institutions in helping trade and investment across the 7 markets in which we operate, which include Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, the DRC, Rwanda, South Sudan, and a representative office in Ethiopia. Since December 2021, Equity has been actively organizing trade and investment missions, starting with a landmark event in partnership with the governments of Kenya and the DRC. That first mission brought together over 300 Kenyan businesses and connected them with more than 2,000 local enterprises across Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, Goma, and Buji-Mayi during the 3-week program. The results were transformative, and since then we've continued to build momentum, bringing over 1,000 companies and investors to explore the dynamic opportunities across East and Central Africa. Our upcoming trade mission builds on that legacy. It's a unique chance to be at the forefront of regional development, engage directly with influential leaders, and position your business at the heart of new and emerging markets. This invite-only mission will bring together senior business leaders from Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, alongside local business and government stakeholders. The goal is to build strong partnerships, explore markets, discover investment opportunities, and connect buyers with suppliers in meaningful ways. The Trade and Investment Roadshow will include direct engagement with key decision makers in both the public and private sectors. It will also feature field visits that allow delegates to experience firsthand the incredible potential and opportunities that exist on the ground. That said, delegate space is limited, and we want to ensure that those who are interested have a chance to participate. Please make sure to complete your registration by Wednesday, 30th April 2025. The registration link will be shared in the chat box. Please take a moment to review and fill in the registration form. As mentioned, Slots will be allocated on a first-come, first-served basis. Now I'd like to take a moment to walk you through our trade and investor roadshow calendar for this year, which is packed with opportunities for meaningful engagement and market exploration. Hot on the heels, from the 19th to the 23rd of May, we will be in Tanzania and Uganda, two fast-growing markets that present significant potential for investment, trade, and cross-border partnerships. This opportunity will allow you to engage in business forums, have targeted meetings with business and government stakeholders, attend field visits and market visits, and allow you to meet with potential buyers, sellers, and partners. Delegates will arrive in Dar es Salaam on the 18th of May, attend business forums in Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar on the 19th and the 20th of May, respectively, followed by field visits in Dar es Salaam on the 21st of May. The delegation will then transition to Kampala, Uganda on the same day, with field visits on the 22nd of May and a business forum on the 23rd of May. Delegates are free to depart on Saturday, 24th May, 2025. From the 15th to the 19th of September, we will be heading to the DRC for a focused trade and investment roadshow. This visit will build on our strong partnerships in the region and offer delegates a chance to connect with key players across multiple sectors. And looking ahead to November, we'll round out the year with a trade and investment roadshow to Kenya and Rwanda. Both countries are known for their innovation ecosystems, ease of doing business, and growing investor confidence, making this a high-value opportunity for all delegates involved. We would be delighted to have you join us on any or all of these roadshows. Each one is carefully curated to ensure you gain high-level access, strategic insights, and real-time exposure to the business environment on the ground. If you're interested in participating, we encourage you to express your interest early, as places tend to fill up quickly. We're incredibly excited about what's ahead, and we'd be honored to have you with us on this journey. Thank you very much, and we look forward to many of you on our trade and investment roadshows.
Thank you so much, Mavish. Appreciate that information. And as you can see, we are very committed to trying to integrate the East Africa region and to support the Africa Free Continental Trade area to really facilitate trade and opportunities for the continent, not just off the continent, but within the continent itself. And we can only do that by really bringing people to the ground and giving them the opportunity to see what's happening here. So now I'd like to move us into the panel discussion. I'd like to introduce our panelists quite quickly and then maybe move into the discussion. I'll introduce you and then maybe just give a quick 1-minute sort of elevator pitch on the work of your company or organization, and then we can go into deeper questioning. So George, you've introduced yourself already, and I'll start with you on the panel discussions. So next I would go to Mr. Parkesh Singh Garia, who is the CEO of GPB in Tanzania. Parkesh, maybe you can tell us just a quick bit about yourself and the work that you're doing with GPB.
Thank you, Joy. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Prakash. I work with one of the leading energy company called GPP. GPP is in the business of downstream oil marketing for last 25 years. In fact, this is the year of our Silver Jubilee celebration. So it gives me more pleasure and I'm in a state of excitement as we celebrate our Silver Jubilee. Recently, one of our this celebration event was blessed by the presence of the Honorable President of the country, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, and wherein we gave our vision for next decade, what we want to do, what we have done so far, how this journey has been so far. So during my talk, I'll elaborate more on that one. But yes, I would conclude this brief introduction with this. Yes, we see a lot of promise going forward for the businesses in Tanzania.
Thank you so much, Prakash. Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to turn to Mr. Ali Asghar Mukaddam, who is the CEO of Said Salim Bakresa and Company. Ali, please tell us more about Bakresa.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we mentioned, my name is Ali Asghar Mukadam. I'm the CEO of Said Salim Bakrasa and Company Limited, one of the flagship company from the Bakrasa Group, which is more a family-owned business, quite diversified business into Tanzania and 9 other East African countries. We are mostly into FMCG products like milling, juices, carbonated drink, water. We are into media. We are into oil distribution also. We are into e-commerce. We have also recently started mobile money. We are also into sugar production. And myself, I'm having a finance background with expertise in finance, IT, operations, investment, and strategic decisions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ali. Appreciate that. And lastly, I'd like to introduce Prosper Nambaya, who is our commercial director in Equity Bank Tanzania. Prosper, maybe you can tell us a bit about the work that you're doing on the commercial side and what offerings we have.
Thank you so much, Joy, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to join my colleagues in this very fruitful discussion. Like what has been said from my previous colleagues, Isabella, my MD, and Brent, and the others, that Tanzania is an upcoming, one of the growing markets in the region, neighboring 8 countries. So what we are going to hear from Equity is that how are we positioned to support all these investors, manufacturers, and trade within the region. We'll be able to share with you exactly what Equity can do. As a commercial director within Equity Bank, I support MD in all fronts of business, being from corporate, SME, channels, payment channels, agriculture, etc. So now we'll be based mainly to see how best we are positioned to support incoming investors in all segments, in all sectors going forward. So happy to join in, happy to receive your questions. And then after the session, we are also in Tanzania available to share all the questions, all the issues, and ready to support you going forward. I thank you, Joy.
Thank you so much, Prosper. So I'd like to keep this kind of free flowing, but I'll ask each of our panelists a specific question to get started, and hopefully that will also spark some ideas and questions with our audience. So George, I want to start with you and come back to the point that you are, heading the investment promotion board, and also to Brent's presentation really about the growing sectors in Tanzania: infrastructure, energy, agriculture. These are all areas that have been shown to have significant growth potential for investment. Can you share with us maybe even some specifics about opportunities in these sectors and how foreign investors can best capitalize on these opportunities? Why Tanzania for these sectors?
Oh, thank you, Joy. Maybe I could start with one of the fastest growing, but it's also a large number of population in Tanzania. They are focused on that sector, agriculture and agro-processing. We know this sector is contributing a lot depending on the GDP, but also depending on the taking a larger number of population who are focused in that area. Almost more than 60 to 70% of our population, people are engaged in agriculture. So we know this sector is have a larger impact in terms of employment from the youth, but also in terms of the export impact, but also the growth. One of the fastest growth sector in Tanzania is agriculture. So in terms of opportunities, of course, this is one of our priority sectors. And in terms of opportunities, we have quite a number of opportunities. The main common crops which are growing in Tanzania: maize, rice. So we invite a lot of many investors who are interested to focus on the commercial farming. like rice, maize, wheat, or of course soybeans, but also specific opportunities on this sector. Also, we have quite a number of some of the farms which are ready-made. So we just wait for the investor who are ready, just to make sure that they rehabilitate those farms and factories which are just connected to the farms for more production. So in terms of these, like we have edible oils, fruits and vegetable. We know that our area, our country, it's depending on because of the land that we are available, but of course the factor that we are connected with a larger number of water bodies. So we can facilitate those coming investors to make sure that they are able to get the land, specific land for agriculture, but also to be facilitated with other government institutions to make sure that their projects are being realized. Second, come to maybe the energy sector. Of course, in the energy sector, this is also one of the growing sectors. We have quite a number of opportunities in the energy sector, starting with the natural gas, LNG. So as you know, that we are aware that we have a larger number of deposits of natural gas in Tanzania. So we have at the point now, we have some of the international companies which are already in that sector. We have Equinor, Shells, if you are aware, but you also invited other investors from the international and local to make sure that they participate in the whole value chain in the LNG area, but also the renewable energy. It's also a very, very, very key area for us to make sure that we promote. We have a different source of energy, not only the hydro, but in the gas, but also renewable energy like the solar energy, geothermal. So we also invite some of the investors which are interested to that area. As I said before during my introduction, we have a one-stop facilitation center where more than 15 government institutions are seated in one roof in our office here. So we have to make sure that we have, once the investors is coming within our office, is getting all the facilitation from the registration to the takeoff of their project. Lastly, from the infrastructure, of course, in infrastructure, we invite people from a different area, but to mention the few, the PPP projects, which for the PPP is coordinated within the Ministry of Finance under the PPP unit, but also now we are building the standard gauge railway. So during on the standard gauge railway, I'm sure in the future we'll invite some of the private partners to make sure that they will be part of the people who will be, running the train within the railway. But also we have some of the upcoming projects in the infrastructure. I think the Equity Bank and other private investors will be interested to engage. So for the coming new Vision 2050, we have a number of quite a lot numbers of the priority areas, especially in infrastructure, not only the roads and the railway, but also when you go to the ports, there's a lot of upcoming ports which are going to build. We have one of the biggest port which is going to build in Bagamoyo. I think the government is within the negotiation with some of the investors. I think for the next coming year, maybe it will be announced, and to make sure that other key stakeholders are coming in. But also these standard gauge railway, we understand that we have different phases which are coming. So in between, the government will invite some of the private people to be part of the project. So let me just to mention the few in the area, but we don't only focus, because you asked me some of the three, the investment opportunities in the energy, infrastructure, and agriculture, but also as per the country, we also invite, we also have a quite number of the investment opportunities apart from these three, which also TIC as being the key mandated institution to make sure that we promote and facilitate. We invite also people from the investors from the real estate, which have the appetite to develop some of the investment in the real estate, especially in our capital city in Dodoma. So we'll be happier to receive them. We are here just to save you. So anytime, if anyone have anything that we need, we can offer, or we can make sure that we give more explanation, we will be able to facilitate it. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you so much for that, George. And I think that was a good overview. And one of the things that I want to highlight really to the audience is all of the infrastructure development that you just mentioned. That really underpins the opportunity for people who are actually setting up business, manufacturing, production, agribusiness in Tanzania. It really affords the opportunity to get your goods out to global markets. Through the new ports, through the railroad, into the interior of the continent. It's actually a very unique opportunity. And I know some of your partners in those activities are companies like DP World. So they are really looking to make those professional services for people that are setting up business there. So thank you for that. We are privileged to have with us today Prakash Guria, who is the CEO of GBP Tanzania, a leading producer and provider of energy products in Tanzania. So we can really dig deep on that sector. Prakash, over to you. You have many years of experience in driving this business in Tanzania and in the regional markets. So we'd like to hear from you now. Thank you, Prakash.
Yeah. Thank you, Joy, once again. As I said, I'll be taking you through GBP's journey so far. It's been 25 glorious years. And with a humble beginning in way back in 2000, in a span of 25 years, fighting its way into the market share with the MNCs, because this energy sector were predominantly, run and managed by the MNCs. So we made a humble beginning into year 2000, and after 25 years today, GBP stands as one of the leading energy company. One of the finest and the latest, most modern infrastructure that we have in entire East and Central Africa. As on today, GBP stands as an energy company which operates the largest storage facilities combined. We are managing roughly 350 million plus liters storage capacities in Tanga, Dar es Salaam, DRC. Then we have 3 depots in the hinterland, plus in two depot terminals in Zanzibar and Pemba. So with four terminals, terminal means which can receive and discharge products. We can receive from the ship and we can backload also to the ships. So then we have loading gantries, railway gantries in those places, though we typically classify them as terminals. Storage depots are called, which are strategically erected across the length and breadth of the countries for onward distribution in those regions, so that we always have buffer stocks maintained in every part of the country. In case of any crisis, we are ready to respond to meet those emergencies. So roughly 4 storage depots we have in Mwanza, Kigoma, Tabora, and one in DRC that is called Lubumbashi. as on date, we also have a sizable presence in retail distribution of the petroleum products in the country. We own and operate all stations ourselves, and we run roughly 80 plus fuel stations spread all across Tanzania. I have not included Zanzibar because we are still in the phase of expansion over there, and to facilitate the distributions, we also have a logistics vertical with 200 plus road tankers, ferrying our products from different terminals and depots to different retail stations. Our customers as well as the consumers, those captive consumers like mining, those infrastructure companies. Then we also have a marine division. We have our own ship which carries fuel from Tanga to Zanzibar and all. In addition to this, what does GBP wants to do in future? Yeah, we are eyeing our sight on LPG and CNG. LPG being a cleaner alternative to the cooking gas. Predominantly at the moment, people either use kerosene or charcoal, and which is not very clean. So LPG is an alternative of clean cooking gas. Government has put a lot of efforts in this direction and has put up a great emphasis on increasing the coverage. Roughly, we have 12.5 million households in the country, and with the market penetration of around 7%, we roughly have 650 households covered. So, going by the government's ambitious vision of by 2030 or so, if I'm not wrong, I stand corrected, George, if you may correct. So they want to achieve by 2031 85% market penetration, which is very, very ambitious. But if all stakeholders put their efforts together, this is achievable. So GBP wants to play its part by aligning itself with the vision and the policies of the government. Right. So in this, as we are celebrating our 20th Silver Jubilee this year, one such event was blessed by the Honorable President, and therein we gave her our vision for next decade, and coincidentally, she also laid the foundation stone for our LPG storage and bottling plant in Tanga. In Tanga, we are putting about 30,000 metric ton storage plant with a robust carousel system for bottling. And similarly, we'll have a depot terminal in Dar es Salaam with a lesser storage quantity, but a bigger bottling plant. We'll have a storage as well as a bottling plant in Zanzibar, a satellite plant in Pemba. In addition, we'll have our satellite plants spread all across Tanzania. As we speak, I have identified 13 locations. So in addition to these major storage and bottling plants, we'll have 13 bottling plants, satellite bottling plants, typically in the trade we call it, spread across all the regions and major cities of the country. So that's how we and why such a big storage facility in Tanga. Yes, there is a sizable exports to neighboring countries like Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Malawi, as well as Kenya. So we are eyeing that market space as well. Going then the second vertical that we want to create for ourselves is CNG. Tanzania, is blessed to have a large reserves of natural gas, around 57 trillion cubic feet. So that makes it a cornerstone of government's energy policy, and we want to participate in that. So we are surveying with our project engineers along the pipelines route where we can put our mother and system, daughter stations, and it's a great vertical to be its future. It is it's kind of country harnesses on its natural reserves. and natural resources, and we are kind of aligning ourselves again with the government's vision in here. Tanzania itself has taken a good lead in this one. We are one of the leaders in CNG adoption in sub-Saharan Africa, and it's not only business, but yes, it's a promise of greener and cleaner future for our coming generations. There are certain benefits which goes without saying. Yes, it gives self-reliance in terms of energy security to the country, because it is our natural resource, locally available. We have all the controls and powers and laws, everything under our control. So we are self-reliant. Secondly, it's saves the country from any geopolitical fallouts in terms of energy availability in the country. It's dollar, our local currency will strengthen as a major chunk of imported fuel will be shifted to CNG. So we are not, our currency is saved to that from that point of view. Cost of goods and services will also go down, because we say it's since we are locally available, we are producing locally, and so the consumers benefit on account of absence of cost of ocean freights, insurance, handling of port charges, as well as this import duties. So it is an alternative to a source of energy, and we are ready to tap it. It's now going forward, what as a businessman and leading a company in energy sector, how do I see future, and what Tanzania has to offer? I would say at this juncture, yes, I see it promising. And why do I see promise? I see promise on account of many things. One of them being the increased, human dividend. We are a population wise, we are a growing country with roughly between 66 to 70 million people, and it is still growing. And when you have such a consistent growth in the population, yes, there is increased demand for goods and services. There is increased economic activities, and that also gives us a larger and smarter workforce. And in many economists have put in their studies, yes, when we have a consistent growth in the population, there are technological advancement, because to give a better way of living to the larger public, governments do incentivize businesses to innovate, and that leads to technological advancement. So I see that happening. And second reason why I see this scenario promising in Tanzanian perspective, because of the political stability. Second is government's push on the infrastructure development. We have seen such a wonderful SGR that has been running. It's a wonderful service. Dar es Salaam BRT, it's a future of Dar es Salaam. That is a landmark, and it will be a lifeline for Dar es Salaam, a growing city. It's a bustling city with and not single part. Any part of the city you will see not something not happening. I was talking to other day a friend at UN, and she was telling me on an average every year 1 million people from different parts of the country are settling down in Dar es Salaam. So which makes Dar es Salaam in 5 years one of the biggest cities in the world. And this kind of infrastructure push will really need it. And I think government is responding, I think genuinely to make it happen. And then other than BRT, we see there is a rural electrification expansion program called TREEP. It was implemented handsomely. Roughly, it was one of the fastest, and that TREEP program helped government reach out to 6 million people. and it is one of the, in sub-Saharan Africa, it's a I mean, the most comprehensive and the fastest expansion program that was ever done. So yes, government has exhibited its will and prowess how it is done to reach out to the last men standing. So with this one, yes, I see a lot of promise, and I'm an optimistic man, and I see we will be we'll be reaching where we want to. With this one, I wish best of luck to all. Thank you. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you, Prakash. I think everybody that's here on this call shares your enthusiasm for the future, and thank you for outlining such an optimistic view. I think a few of the things that you mentioned really struck me. I mean, one is really the idea that the East African community, any country that you enter in the East African community, if you enter Tanzania, you're entering not just Tanzania, but you're entering an entire market of more than 350 people in the
Absolutely.
yes, in the 9 countries or so that are in the East African community, which is trying to build a common market. It already has a common passport, and it's trying to build a common currency. And you mentioned all the cross-border work that you've been able to do and enter into from your Tanzania base.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's very important. I think the other thing is that you really mentioned as well are the Tanzania, I'll call it the Tanzania spread, because Tanzania is just not the mainland or Zanzibar itself, but it is the archipelago of islands that really surround
Absolutely.
the coastline, which give opportunity for growth. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's something like almost 10 archipelago islands off the coast of Tanzania and Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar. So I think that's also an exciting opportunity, even for tourism, for the blue economy, for agriculture. And lastly, I think you mentioned probably one of the greatest assets that we have in the region, which is the youth dividend. We have a very educated and large youth population who are digital natives, actually.
Yes,
And they are really here to find work. And they're almost, it's almost a plug and play workforce with high education and knowledge. So for any investors that are worried that we don't have the workforce in the region to service your investments, I'd tell you otherwise. So thank you for all of that, Prakash.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ali Oscar from Bacresa, I'd like now to turn to you. And your company is so interesting because you probably do everything but energy production. You're a conglomerate that's a legend in the country, not just for your flour and your ice cream, even your beverages, but also for your commitment to agro-processing food products. But you have other businesses that you're involved in, such as Azam Media. You've been able to take advantage of the country's growing logistics and transport infrastructure being developed to get those goods to market. You're into plastic recycling, telecommunications, real estate. You also do have some petroleum business. So I'd like you to talk about really building the conglomerate that you have in Tanzania, how it has spread out to the rest of the region. And lastly, I'd really like for you to also talk about the fact that your company is also very focused on social development and having impact in the community, and how you balance all of that with the work that you do across the conglomerate. So over to you, Ali Oscar.
Thank you, Joy. Good afternoon once again, everyone. As you all are aware that Tanzania and other East African markets are more of a low income economy market. So most of our businesses, what we focus is on the second tier, the third tier for the masses. So whether you talk about milling, whether you talk about water, juices, ice cream, these are all the necessities of a common man. You talk about media, again, it's a part of the lifestyle for a common man. So basically, what we have focused is our business model has been volume driven. And we have focused on balancing quality with affordability. To achieve that, it's not easy, but it's only possible when you have economies of scale, when you do the right investment. As we talk about today, we are the largest miller in the entire East Africa. In Tanzania, we have a milling capacity of 4,000 metric tons per day and a storage capacity of 220,000 metric tons, meeting the food and nutritional requirement of the country. Now, coming back to the business, I would say that as far as Bakresa philosophy has been, as I mentioned, that quality products at affordable price. So what we have gone into is that we've always focused on investment, the right technology. Most of our mills are from Bueller, giving us an advantage in terms of better yield, better extraction, less downtime, better efficiency, which helps us in maintaining the cost. At the same time, when we talk about volume, these also help us in terms of the quality, and we ensure that to make sure that our business grows, we provide very healthy margins to our distributors, to the retailers, which allows them to push the product in the market, to have better visibility. So all in all, I would say that our focus has been on right technology, adopting to digital transformation. We are the first one in Tanzania to be fully integrated on SAP S/4HANA end-to-end integration, which allows us to have better insights of the market, remain close to our customers, understand their need. And at the same time, all our expansions and business growth has been done in a very phased manner, keeping in mind that when we are investing into countries even outside Tanzania, you have to have a clear vision about what you want to achieve, your investment, your return on investment, etc. So all in all, I would say is that we are more volume-based business, trying to impact the life of the people and to focus on the base of the pyramid. Just to add on that, my colleagues, what George and Prakash mentioned, since it's on agriculture, we are into wheat milling. I would say that I would just like to add upon it whatever was mentioned earlier, that if you look at it, Tanzania is blessed actually with the data available. We have more than 40 million hectares of arable land, out of which only 1/3 is in growth. And on our side, when the government gave us the land in Bagamoyo to start the sugarcane production, that was the land which was close to the Indian Ocean, and the soil being acidic, and on the lower end of the Wami River, where normally you don't have water available during the dry season. So it was a very big challenge for us in terms of how to go about it. But then we are the first in Tanzania. When we started this project, it was a greenfield project for us, and we hired consultants, LME from London. We worked with Netafim from Israel, who are the #1 in irrigation, and we came up with the first to be in Tanzania to start with the drip irrigation. We worked with JP Mukherjee from India, who are again one of the big consultants on refinery, and we invested in Tyson Group. So all in all, these our project today, when we say that in Tanzania, our farm with 150 metric tons of sugarcane is the highest yield, and in terms of recovery at 9.5% is again the highest in the region. And all these have been achieved by doing the right investment despite all the challenges. So I would say that in agriculture, Bagamoyo Sugar is one of the projects I would call not only for the local investors, but for any foreign investors, to be a model that how, despite all the challenges, but we can still work it out in Tanzania. And at this moment, I would also like to thank TIC for navigating us through this project. We had some operational challenges, approvals, incentives, but they were working very closely with us. And I would say that it is one of a model for any investors to come and have a look at it, that what can be achieved in Tanzania. We have a great potential today. If you look in agriculture sector, apart from the arable land, as my colleague mentioned, that we have water bodies like Lake Victoria, Tanganyika, Nyasa, the rivers are there, but our productivity is very, very low. We still need to, if I look at the world average in terms of wheat grain, Tanzania has an average of 1.5 metric tons per hectare versus a world average of 3.5 to 4 metric tons. So it's a great opportunity if you are investing here in the right way, in a mechanized farm with high yielding seeds, with what you call insect resistance. So you can have great opportunity. And what Prakash mentioned, that Tanzania being the hub, he mentioned about this. But most important thing we are forgetting is that as Tanzania, with the Dar es Salaam port and with the DP World being one of the leader coming up with the investment as a PPP, it opens gateway not only for the East African and the landlocked countries, but it is opening gateway to Middle East and Asian countries also. Remember that Tanzania being an importer, we have a distinct advantage when it comes to export with the return load of cargoes, where empty containers can always get a better freight rate. Today in Bakresa, almost my whole byproduct, which is bran, almost 20% of that, of my total production is bran, is being exported as far as to Middle East and Far East up to Vietnam as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. And I just want to say one thing that you just mentioned right there at the end, which is super important, I think, for anybody coming to do business in Tanzania, is to really understand that after Tanzania, you go across the Indian Ocean and you can, really transport goods to India, to the Gulf region, very easily to Asia. And so not only do you have access to, the market of the East African community, but if you wanted to set up shop in Tanzania, you have really easy access to those international markets to ship. You have the infrastructure and the ports, but you also have the easy access to many other fast-growing markets around the world through the Indian Ocean. And I think that's really important to note. I just want to ask you a quick question, Ali, on the media business, because it's sort of an outlier in the work that you in the conglomerate that you've built. Why get into media, and how has that been going for you? Who's the audience for you?
Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, that we always focus on the mass market, the base of the pyramid. When we thought about this media at that time, we had the likes of the multi-choice, and then we had the free-to-air channels. So we saw a big gap in the market. And when we approached this, we did not take it as a normal way by buying the international channels and bundling it out, but we wanted to make ourselves different from the other players, and our focus was more on the local contents. We are the first one to have our own studio in Tanzania. We also invested into outside broadcasting. So all in all, what we wanted was to have our own local channels, own content, apart from not only just focus on dubbing, but to produce serials, to produce movies, etc., and make a different mark into this field rather than just bundling the international channels.
Great. Thank you very much, Ali. I really appreciate that explanation. Okay, lastly, but not least, of course, I would like to turn it over to Prosper Nambaya, who is our commercial director in Tanzania, to really give you a very quick overview on the partnerships that Equity Bank Tanzania has been working on to deliver commercial opportunities, how we are offering financial solutions to local businesses and entrepreneurs. And after that, we'll get into a conversation. I'm going to ask maybe our panelists if they have any further comment they want to make, or a question or a comment they want to make on top of what their fellow panelists have said, and then we can answer a few questions from the audience. Prosper?
Thank you so much, Joy, and I'm happy to go after my colleagues have gone fast, because we as a bank, we need to see how much we provide solutions. From the opportunities that have been said in regarding to what's happening in Tanzania, in Africa, 17% of the world population in Africa, the future outlook in terms of the key sectors, which is agri, etc. And then you look on the opportunities from youth population, which is now we as Equity, what we are trying to do is that from the presentation of Brent, we have seen we have our key 6 pillars as a bank. Starting number 1, agri, food and agri, how to feed and then how to produce raw materials, extractives. Then what solution do we give? All the way from agro-processing, manufacturing. We have seen the likes of Baresa, then to everywhere, manufacturing, all sectors. In terms of logistics and trade, now let's see now how Equity can support. From agri, for example, even before starting talking about the partners, I think it's good to know the potential of Equity as a group. Equity capital base is getting close to $2 billion. That means our single borrowers limit to single entity is around $500 million per single client. And then you look on the same, even last year, when you look on the potential of Equity, how we can support, you need to know your strength before looking on the others. We are in 7 regions across East Africa. And then last year, our total profit after tax was around $400 million. That's almost 1 trillion Tanzanian shillings, 890. This year we are planning to reach 1 trillion. What are we doing with that capital? We need to maximize in all the projects that qualifies. Number 1 being agri and food related. On top of that, we have got DFIs who are ready to partner with us. And when we are talking on large corporates, we don't stop on supporting large corporate and end up there. For example, we have heard about the big sugar project that Baresa have done in Bagamoyo. So what we are doing, apart from giving, let's say, capex, working capital, asset financing solutions for the company, also maximizing on the value chain, the distributors, the people provide raw materials, suppliers. We have solutions for them, digital banking solutions to make sure that they perform better. We're going all the way down to individual solutions. And then you're looking on manufacturing and trade. We are having solutions and then key partners. We have over 30 international banks that support us on confirming our trade finance solutions. Recently, without mentioning the name, we got an approval of $300 million to support a company in Tanzania that is doing trade, importing in heavy importation that supports local demands as well as transit. It has contracts across the region, contracts in Uganda, Rwanda, and DRC via the port of Dar es Salaam. We are capable of doing that without syndicating with anybody. However, we have people supporting us. On DFIs, we have development financial partners who are ready to partner with us. In terms of financing, high level end as well as low ends, in terms of agri, all the way to SMEs, providing guarantees, the likes of AGF, the likes of Propaco, the likes of PAS International. So this is only into agri. When you come into infrastructure, we have seen the potential, the SGR, we are now seeing phases coming all the way. SGR was phase 5 all the way to Mwanza, Kigoma. We are now seeing it going to DRC. We are now going to Uganda and Rwanda. We are in all those markets. And what the government is doing right now is asking for contractors coming with the solution of EPC, engineering, procurement, construction, plus financing. And then we are also getting in as Equity to provide the number 4, which is financing. We have done a lot of support to a contractor, one of the biggest Chinese contractor who is developing a port in Tanzania. We are currently in the process of also partnering with other contractors for the port development, etc. Mention any amount, we can partner. And then on the same infrastructure note, We have got partners like Joy asked about who are the key partners. We have got ECA partners, export credit agreements, export credit agreement agencies. Recently, we got one from France, from Germany. These have been partnered with the French bank, the likes of BPI France. The other one is in Germany, the Commerce Bank in Germany. They supply huge equipments and items during this construction of ports, roads, etc. And then they are giving guarantees to their banks to provide on lending to Tanzanian entities, even to the government. In the meantime, we're discussing over 200 million facility, which is EPC plus F. So that's number two. And then when we're looking on all these projects, without mentioning on trade, we have huge investments in mining, real estate, etc. So I appreciate the partnership that you're having with TIC. The investors are coming, they are not stranded yet. TIC is talking about one stopping center, and we are talking about one equity. You are in Tanzania, you go to Uganda, you go to Rwanda, DRC, Kenya, you experience the same services. And then on partnerships in terms of payments, you have huge payment solutions. We are now running out of internet banking, and we have just launched our cash cloud solution, in which now the incoming investors will be able to do their transactions seamlessly, sitting at their areas of their comfortability. You can have 3 directors, one in Tanzania, the other one in India, the other one in the US, doing transactions, and then you have automated real-time dashboards and reconciliations. There's no more time now for the CFOs to do transactions or reconciliations. In terms of payments, we have partners like MasterCard. You can do your transactions across more than 30 countries. Joy, to mention the few and all those others, we're into every single sector that we know, starting from food, agri, mining. We're into manufacturing, support all the manufacturing activities. We're into logistics. We have now seen a lot of companies coming in needs of facilities to serve the regional countries, the likes of all those 8 locked countries. So we provide solution for them, asset financing, and then we are able to give out long-term arrangement in terms of LCs. Another thing which is key to note for investors, both in country and outside the country, we are now getting out of the traditional way of doing banking. We are now based on structural way of financing facilities. We have seen companies in Tanzania getting contracts to supply fertilizer, petroleum, to supply mining supplies in DRC, Rwanda. You have needs in Uganda. They just get LCs from their employers. So they get contracts supported with LCs. Those LCs are confirmed, and then on the back of the same, we are using the same LCs to support importation from overseas. So you can see like 200 million facility. How can you finance using the local traditional way? So I think it's good for the investors. Our services are not standardized the normal traditional banking. We are now dealing clients on client basis in terms of structuring facilities depending on the requirements of our clients. Mentioning that, I think I'll lastly say that we have the partners in all the value chain, from CapEx financing, from SME, who are the suppliers, distributors, in terms of guarantee schemes. Most of Western SMEs don't have securities, but we manage to package that to support the same. We are going all the way to individuals, in which we have partnered with MNOs, fintechs, to make sure their mobile numbers become their account, so you can pay even your casual laborers without any hassles. So Joy and the members, I think because of the times, I don't need to go into many details, but in a nutshell, we are capable as a bank to service any client, any investor in any key sector, in any segment. And then lastly, I would, since you'll share our contacts with all interested investors, we are open, we are ready to listen. If you have any proposal, just share with us, and then we can see how best we can structure the same, and we can also customize. I thank you, Joy, for the time.
Prosper, thank you so much for that comprehensive view on the projects and partnerships and products that we can offer. I think my takeaway from your comments would be that first of all, it takes a village to really accomplish something in this region, and we stand ready to walk the journey with anyone who wants to come here and do business here or expand their business here. Number two, that we're open to co-creating any kind of opportunity and trying to find a solution that will allow people to grow their businesses. Hopefully you can also drop your contacts, you and Isabella, in the chat. So thank you to all the panelists for their comments, to Prosper, to Ali Oscar, to George, to Prakesh. I'd like to go to some questions that have come through the webinar chat that the audience has, and maybe start with you, George. There's obviously a lot of interest in how to get started in coming to Tanzania, what the barriers might be. We have a specific question, though, from someone who said, we would be interested in opening a distribution center and also studying manufacturing opportunities in electrical products. What would the requirements be to ease the entry to the market in this sector? George, maybe you can take that.
Thank you, Joy. I got a question. Of course, I text him to my number. Of course, we'll discuss it with him in future after this webinar meeting. But for the advantage for other people, the access, anyone who is new coming to Tanzania, the first point of call, you should visit the TIC, Tanzania Investment Center. As I said in the beginning, we are mandated to facilitate, to promote, and to advise the government. But the point of facilitation is very key. So from the first point of the registration of the company, any other licensing, that someone will need from the beginning. But the most important area is to meet with the key relevant stakeholders, depending on the nature or sector that someone is looking to invest within the country or to trade. So TIC will make sure we organize maybe a virtual meeting or a physical meeting when someone visits our office with the key stakeholders. We can call upon some of the key stakeholders depending on the sector that someone wants, some of the clarity, issue of the taxi, banking issues. We usually communicated with our key partner, Equity Banking. So once someone's want to set up a business within the country, so the first point of call, I should advise and using this platform to make sure that they have to contact TIC, and TIC will make sure facilitate and make sure they meet all the key stakeholders within the country. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, and I'm sure TIC can help with many other questions relating to getting a business license, all kinds of questions such as that. Ali Oscar, we have a question, a general question in the chat that is asking about how, in such a large conglomerate, but just businesses in general, how are you dealing with issues of climate change across, let's say, the spectrum of businesses that you're invested in that are heavily exposed to climate risk? Oh, Ali, I think you're on mute.
If you look at our businesses, when I talked about it as such, there are those which are on agri. When you talk about it, we spoke about Bagamoyo sugar, and I explained to you that how we have used the drip irrigation just to add on to that, that since we are on the lower end of the Wami River, we also built up the tanks and sedimentation tanks and lagoons so as to store water during the rainy season, just to make sure that we get water throughout the year for our sugarcane. Coming back to our major business, when we talk about wheat grain, as such, yes, wheat grain would be there, but globally, if you look at it, wheat grain has been grown not so much in Tanzania, but we have huge productions with markets like Russia, Ukraine, Australia, Argentina, US. All of them have potential as such as in terms of export, and given their inventory carry year on year, I do not see that any issues with the climate change. Remember that at the same time, the way the world is evolving, that yes, you have a climate change, but then you're also focusing and increasing in terms of the productivity. Just to give you an idea that in the last 25 years, if the land available because of the farming, because of the climate has reduced, but then in terms of productivity, that has more than compensated because of the technology, because of the research, etc. So there has been a balance in that, and I don't see any potential risk. And especially if you look at it, that there are still areas, as I mentioned, Tanzania with more than 44 million hectares of arable land available. So when we look at it, there are areas which has been explored, but there are areas which have not been worked upon. So I do not see any major changes impacting in terms of climate change into any of the agribusinesses.
Okay, that's very interesting. All right, another question that has come from the chat. Prakash, you talked about opening in cross-border countries such as the DRC and opening in Lubumbashi. How easy was that to do, and what challenges did you face in going cross-border with your company?
Well, we have been in DRC for more than 15 years now. We have a depot and a petrol station. We didn't find it much challenging. Yes, there are certain infrastructure bottlenecks. A kind of social security is a small challenge, but it's not dangerous. Okay, and so I see no issue as such entering DRC is concerned. But having said so, how to set up, we can come back on this one. And yes, potential is there. It's a great country to be in. So far, we have restricted ourselves into the eastern side of Congo, Katanga, as well as Bukavu and those regions. We have one depot in Lubumbashi, another is in Ubira. So I see not much challenge. Yes, of late recently there are certain insurgency incidents, and few cities were taken over by the rebels. But Katanga and Uvira, this is safe, and I don't see any challenge as such. But business wise, yes, there is business. If somebody has got specific queries, though, I can look into that.
Okay, fantastic. We'll ask for more details in the chat. I think from here, what I'd like to do is to ask each of our panelists to give just a closing comment on the opportunities that they see, and then we can wrap the session. Maybe we can start with you, Prosper.
Thank you so much, Joy, and the members. What I want to assure you lastly is that Equity is heavily equipped. It's one of the well-capitalized bank with huge network of partners, and then regional presence as of now, 7 countries, and our strategy is to be in 15 countries by 2030. I heard Alaska saying he's in 9 countries, so 2 more to go. Alaska will be similar with you, and then by 2030 will be ahead of you. And then to investors, we also not only giving funds, loans, etc. We're also receiving funds investors getting from abroad. We are the bank that you can register your funds with the Central Bank of Tanzania, then you get your debt registration number for you to be able to pay your payments. And then in terms of investors, we're also giving advice on from the time you come in with your investments, from the time you registering with TIC, you need to start, if you got a big land like what Bagamoyo got, you need to start paying compensations, etc. So we can host your funds. We have several accounts that can give you benefits whilst you are waiting for the funds to be employed. And then in terms of systems, you can do host-to-host integration with any investor in any manufacturing, any type of APIs. We can expose your APIs connecting to you. We have heard about what Alaska is doing in terms of technology. You have a full-fledged technology within Equity. We have 4 pillars. One is banking, the other one is insurance, foundation, and then you have a specific pillar for Equity technology. This dedicated managing director for technology. So we get huge support from the group. And lastly, for investors, anything can happen. We have FX solutions for you. We can do forwards for you. We can do hedging. We can also do the swaps. We can do currency swap. You come with your investments from abroad. We can either do interest swap or currency swap, depending on your requirements. Joy, because of time, let me end up here, but I give assurance to all local and incoming investors that Equity is the right place for you. We have all the solutions for payments all the way to heavy senior loans. I thank you, and then looking forward to meet you physically during the webinar on 19th of May. We'll be ready to host you. It will be at Hayat, and then we'll also do some few visits. People who want to know about Baresa, GBP, TIC, you can share your comments, and then you can arrange visits, because these are true gentlemen, and they'll be able to host us, as well as Equity. We are ready to host anyone, anytime. I thank you, and looking forward to working with you all the way. Thanks.
Yes, thanks so much for that, Prosper, and for the reminder that everyone that you see here on the screen, if you take our invitation to the physical trade mission in May, you'll be able to meet everybody in person. Prakash, your closing comments?
Thank you, Joy. Yes, as I said, I'm an optimistic man, and I see a lot of promise. Tanzania is a land of promise. Come and invest and be part of this great journey. I mean, it's as Brent has nicely put it up. It falls within the fastest growing region, and on top, it's one of the top 10 growing economies. And it's not only statistical figures, but we see this happening on ground, being the resident in this part of the world for last 20-25 years. So karibuni.
Karibuni, which is our Swahili word for welcome. Thank you, Prakash. Ali Oscar, I'll go to you next. Your closing comment.
I'll just say one line that everyone knows that Tanzania is the most politically stable country in East Africa. So what more does an investor want? There's nothing better than Tanzania when it comes to their investment protection. And my colleagues have already spoken as the fastest growing economy, Tanzania being the hub, the port, the SGR, the hydropower projects, all in all, is everything from manufacturing to mining to tourism to hospitality. Tanzania has something to offer for right across investors under any of the sectors. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, as I said at the top of the webinar, we have some of the best beaches in Tanzania. So come not just to do business, but also to vacation and holiday.
Don't forget that not only the beaches, you forget about Serengeti and migration, and you forget about Ngorongoro crater, the wonder of the world, and Kilimanjaro, the highest peak in Africa. So it's not only the beaches of Zanzibar, but there is lots to offer when it comes to tourism in Tanzania. Thank you.
That's very true. And I've done Kilimanjaro myself. Anybody can do it if I can do it. Thanks for reminding us of that. George, you're the last word.
Thank you, Joy. Maybe I can conclude by saying that I would like to reaffirm that Tanzania is ready to and eager to do business with anyone, being a foreign, being a local, but the doors are open. TAC, we are open to facilitate you. Tanzania is offer everything that you need. You can make be informed for investment decision. A conducive business environment. The government has done a lot of initiatives and reforms through the blueprint. We understand that for the past 2 weeks, our Honorable Prime Minister is, introduced a new blueprint reforms phase 2. But there are also a lot of policies that has been reformed to make sure that the business environment within the country is very conducive. Microeconomic stability, we understand we have an abundant natural resources, a relative workforce, but also a significant market within East Africa and SADC. Being a strategic location within EAC and SADC country, that is one of our comparative advantage. And we know that our government is very eager and supportive to facilitate any investment that is coming within the country. And lastly, that we have our best point of sale, that is our president, Honorable President Samia Suluhu Hassan. So I would like to make sure to use this chance to welcome you. And TAC, we are ready to facilitate you anytime. Thank you, and back to you, Joy.
Great. Thank you so much for that, George. And I just also want to ask Isabella if she has any closing comments. Isabella, our managing director in Tanzania, before I close.
Yes, Joy, thank you very much. I think for the interest of time, I would like to appreciate the audience, our investors, our businesses, and of course the speakers, the panelists, the office of the TIC representative George, the group as well for supporting us in coordinating this webinar. Most important, I think we have got the confidence on the investment environment for Tanzania, the opportunities, the macroeconomic environment. So I think the most important takeaway now is the opportunity which is available and how we can take it up. And equity, we have strongly positioned as your partner in terms of financing your investment, scaling up your businesses, both to local investors and foreign investors. We assure you that we'll give you the maximum support towards expanding your investment in the country. So thank you so much, and I look forward for the next coming trade mission, which will be physical here, Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar. We were welcoming the local investors and the foreign investors to come and visit Tanzania and see physically the investment opportunity. Thank you so much, and I think we are coming to an end of our webinar. Back to you, Joy.
Great, Isabella. Thank you very much. And as we wrap up today's insightful discussion, I first want to thank the audience because I see everybody has stayed with us, even though we started a little bit late and we've run a little bit over. So thank you to everyone who joined us and spent some time today. I'd also really like to thank Prakash, George, Ali, Oscar, and Prosper for sharing their invaluable expertise and experiences in doing business in Tanzania and the region. We've learned a great deal about the exciting opportunities in Tanzania, from market expansion strategies to sector-specific investments in agriculture, energy, infrastructure, and even tourism. The role of local and international partnerships, along with technological advancements, continues to be a major factor in driving growth and innovation, along with a predominantly educated and youthful workforce, which stands ready to support investors and businesses coming into the region. We've also heard about the efforts being made to improve the investment climate, particularly through initiatives aimed at reducing regulatory and logistical challenges, which will no doubt encourage more foreign investments in the country. And Tanzania has been noted as being a a country where ease of doing business is a primary focus for the leadership and Her Excellency President Suluhu. To all the business leaders, investors, and stakeholders present today, I hope you've gained a deeper understanding of the vast potential in Tanzania and how you can play an integral role in this growing economy. Let's take these insights forward and explore new opportunities together, build strategic partnerships, and contribute to the continued success of Tanzania as a prime destination for investment. Thanks again to our distinguished speakers and to everyone for being a part of this enriching session. We look forward to future discussion and collaborations. The team here is always available to you for any questions beyond this webinar, anytime. We're here to help you. We want to help expose opportunities that are in this region. Join us, hopefully, for the Trade and Investment Mission to Tanzania coming up in May. The team will be sharing more information to your emails. And the mission is a unique chance for companies and investors to expand into high growth markets, build strategic partnerships, and tap into Tanzania's rich resources, infrastructure momentum, and growing consumer demand. You'll be able to engage directly with senior government officials, industry influencers, potential local partners, and everyone who joined us today, opening doors to meaningful collaborations and new ventures. If you're ready to turn today's insights into action, we invite you to be a part of our journey, and we'll walk that journey with you. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you soon in East Africa, but specifically in Tanzania. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for
Thank
now.
you.
Bye.